Welcome to Power Up Learning, Bite-Sized PL for the Busy Educator. My name is Lisa Pogue, and I am an instructional design coach at Royse City High School. We are here today to talk to you about planning to teach those tech skills that your students will need when they're doing projects if they are working remotely or in a hybrid situation. So this falls under our instructional technology view. And we will go ahead and get started. So this picture reminded me of our students. There's so much that technology can do, but yet they see it as entertainment. So our job as the educators in the room are to help them see that technology is more than just games and social media. So when we think about this generation of kids, they have been raised up in the technological world. iPhones were here, as long as they can remember. So we think about, they know this, they know technology. Well, they might, but they probably don't know the things that we need them to do. So even though they were born in a technological world, they do see technology as entertainment, as a way for them to connect with social media, as a way for them to play games, as a way for them to constantly have something to do. Another drawback to that is they are accustomed to quick results. So they've grown up with Google and Siri and Alexa and so many things that give them those quick responses that has taken away some of the grit. So yes, they know technology, but they may not know what we need them to do to complete a project. So what can we do about that? Well, we can teach students that technology is a tool, that it's something that can help them and how it can help them. They already know how to find information they need. Let's think about the things that they do. Their TikTok videos, Snapchat, all of those things, they just learned. They learned from each other. But they don't always transfer that mindset of let me figure it out to their schoolwork. And so we need to figure out how can we get them from that mindset of figuring out the latest and greatest video game or social media tool to the projects that we want them to do in the classroom. So we need to show them how to find what they need for learning. We need to show them how to find what they need to do their projects and how to transfer what they do already know into an educational setting, which will help them transfer that information into a professional setting once they leave us out of the school. And we can help them make those connections. So let's think about for a second, if we have a project for students and they're going to use Google Slides, even if it's not a traditional slideshow, you want them to make a newspaper using Google Slides. What are all the things they need to know? Well, they need to know how to create a text box. They might need to know how to make some shapes. They'll need to know how to change their background color, where to find open source images, how to insert videos or sounds. When you're doing a slide, you need to know how to change fonts and colors and styles. How to change the layout of a slideshow, how to change the size of it, how to change the theme, what the animation possibilities are, transitions, and there's so much more. So you're probably saying, Lisa, there's no way I can take the time away from my curriculum to teach all of that to my students. I don't have time for that. And I know that. But it's important to think about what all will they need to do in order to be able to do the project. And absolutely, most of the time it's more than we can teach in a single lesson. So we need to think about what we can do. So we can provide them with resources. There are YouTube playlists out there for pretty much everything they want to know how to do. There's Google playlists on slides. There's Google playlists on Google Docs. There's Google playlists on making videos. YouTube playlists, sorry about that. So there are tons of playlists out there. We have our own C4L website that provides some tutorials for students. Our Chrome Squad has a podcast. There is a YouTube. They can get on Twitter and do hashtags to find information. Teach them how to phone a friend. That's what they do normally. Like when they want to learn how to add something new to their recent social media that they know their friend did, then they will stop and they will ask that friend. So teach them. It's okay to ask your friend to teach you how to do the technology. That's what we do as adults. Figure out who your technology gurus are in each class. And so you may be asking, well, how do I figure that out? Well, when you first assign a project, look around the room and see who gets started. Who gets started right away and seems to just zip through it. Make notes of those kids. Those are the kids that can then turn around and be the technology tutors, so to speak. So encourage that collaborative classroom. Encourage them to help each other, and you're not expected to know how to do everything nor to take the time to teach each student individually, because technology skills are definitely differentiated among the students. So it's okay to let the student show you. There are things that they probably know how to do that we don't, and it's okay to let them teach each other. We are accustomed to being the expert in the room, but that's really not what our students need of us. They need us to be the more mature guide, providing them with the information and then letting them show us some things that they know as well. So don't expect that you can't ask your students to do an Adobe Spark if you've never done Adobe Spark, because they will figure it out. There will be some students in your classroom that will figure it out easily, and then they can help the others and maybe even help you as well. So it's definitely okay for you not to have all the answers. So you definitely, as I mentioned before, don't need all the answers, but you do need to allow time in your plans for students to learn and apply new technology to their assignments. If you don't plan time for that, if you don't allow that extra time in your classroom, then they are going to just not do it. So you need to be sure that when you're planning a project that you want them to work on, that you're not expecting them to find all the answers outside of class. And if you are limited on time, then you could go ahead and provide some resources up front for them to go to if they need assistance. Have grace with them because they are just learning. Be willing to accept a project and then return it back and say, this was done well, this is done well, but you forgot to do this. Go ask Susie, how do you do that? She did a good job, which means we have to be patient. We need to foster that grit mentality within our students. They need to know that perseverance to continue to do something until they get that top-notch product. That's a real-world skill. So we need them to learn not to give up, which is what they'll do if we don't give them enough time. If we don't give them time to look through it, but also hold them accountable, because we also know that if we give them too much time, then they kind of sit back and do nothing. But you monitor to be sure they're all on top of it, but allow them enough time and start to foster those conversations about what they're learning. So I've added a whole lot of extra websites that you can use to pull some playlists for your students or some resources, or even just address these or add these to your Google Classroom. So we have our Innovation Teacher Help Center, and there are tons of Google tutorials there that were meant for teachers, but the students, of course, can use them as well because it's basic beginner Google Slides, Google Docs, and YouTube, so lots of things there. The Connected for Learning website has some sections for teachers and for students. We have an Innovation Student Help Center. So just like we have the Teacher Center, we have the Student Center. I have went ahead and collected for you a Google Slides playlist so that if you're providing, having a lesson where your students need to do Google Slides, you can just have that YouTube playlist there. I've also given a Google Docs playlist and some tutorials to Adobe Spark. So just providing these resources to your students, and when they say to you, well, I don't know how to do that, then you could ask them, well, if you didn't know how to do something, on TikTok, who would you go to find out how to do that? Or if you needed to know how to get to that next level in your video game, where do you go to learn how to do that? You would be surprised how much time our kids spend on video games or on YouTube trying to figure out how to get to the next video game level. So we teach them that language that they can use in the classroom on projects. So just like we would go to YouTube to learn how to get to the next level on a video game, we can go to YouTube to figure out how to make that next step in our project, how to make our project one step better. Pulling projects up during a lesson and showing good ones, and that way they can see who in their class knows how to do certain skills. Giving them the opportunity to see each other's presentations is another way to kind of challenge them to step it up in their technology. So it is time for our bonus engagement strategy, and today we are doing a Kagan strategy called Time Round Robin, and this can be done in the classroom if you have kids in a group, and you would just present the problem. Everybody works out the problem, and then we come back and take turns going through the answer with our group. And that's easy to do when you have a group of kids in your classroom. But if you don't have a group of kids in the classroom, if you're all online or you have some kids offline and some kids online, so in a hybrid situation, then you can use the Google Meet breakout room. So I'm going to give you a thinking question. I'm going to put everybody in their own individual breakout room, have them work on it, and then I'm going to bring you back. Everyone should have an answer. Then I can put you into small group breakout rooms where you can discuss the answer. So again, have that accountability for I had to do something first before I have the opportunity to share it. And then we can come back and we can share our answers with the class. So the important thing there is that timed part. You don't want to let the students have too much time because you want them to stay on task. So today we have talked about how to be sure that we give our students the opportunity to learn the technology skills they need, providing them some resources with where to get that technology, and then our bonus engagement strategy with the timed round robin. We do these power up sessions 3 times a week here on this channel at noon. And so what you have coming up tomorrow is using Edpuzzle as a reteach and retest tool. And then next week, you can learn about virtual guided reading, attendance with Classwork Zoom, and how you can get your students to show work in their Google Classroom mobile app. So we hope that this has been informative for you. If you have ideas about other trainings you'd like to see, please go to our website and shoot us a little help tip letting us know what you'd like to see in the future. Have a good afternoon.